I'm Carolyn Baker. I live here in Boulder, Colorado, and I'm the author of Navigating the Coming Chaos, a handbook for inner transition. And I toured Vermont last fall, right after the Irene hurricane disaster. And I've been invited to come back to several places in New England this coming April.
And we had a tour last year.
Mm-hmm.
That was in September 2011,
Uh-huh.
and you did a speaking tour in a few different cities: Burlington, Montpelier,
Yep.
Putney,
Mm-hmm.
and you also did a workshop for helping professionals.
I did.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and what you accomplished there?
Sure. It was very exciting to speak in public places in Burlington and in Montpelier to just an open audience and to entertain their questions. It's very, very exciting. I love Vermont. As you know, I used to live there, and it's always wonderful to come back and visit. I had the opportunity on Friday morning of that week to do a half-day workshop for helping professionals in Montpelier. We're going to be doing that again on the next tour. And I had a wonderful experience on one of the Sunday evenings that I was there at Turkey Hill Farms in Randolph, where a bunch of people from the community came together to hear what I had to say, and people who are very much into food and are very much into organic and local economies. So that was very, very exciting to be with those folks.
Mm-hmm. Now, you'll be coming back to us the last week in April and the first week in May.
Yeah, it's kind of all 1 week. It's a week where April ends and May begins. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And why do you feel that our current methods of coping with the loss of our economic system, or the way of life that we enjoyed for many generations, why is it that you feel that our ways of coping with that are inadequate?
Well, because our ways of coping with it are based on the old paradigm that has caused the demise of all of these institutions and the way of life that we have become dependent on. You know, I talk a lot about the 3 E's: energy, economy, the environment, and how we can look at the demise and the unraveling in all of those arenas. And we're still trying to solve those problems on the level of the problem, instead of bringing in a new paradigm. And I talk a lot about in my work, in my writings, my speaking, what that new paradigm consists of. And a lot of it is about looking at the world in a different way, looking at ourselves in a different way. And so we're going to be talking a lot about that in my speaking tour.
Okay, and why should folks come to your public talks?
Well, I see basically 4 reasons. One is to help them with the whole process of coming to terms with these realities and not staying in denial about it. You know, I don't have to tell you, because you're a scientist, that the first level of addressing a problem is to accept the fact that you have one. And so, you know, we're used to living in a lot of denial about these issues. Oh, the energy situation isn't really that bad. Climate change isn't really that bad. And, you know, eventually we'll turn the economy around because we always have. You know, so we need some help with really looking at what is actually happening. And, you know, the second reason for coming would be to talk about what action we can take. What action we can take externally, what action we can take internally, and then to help us build community, to support each other in this preparation. And my emphasis, of course, is emotional and spiritual preparation. There are thousands of people and websites out there that are talking about logistical preparation, and they should be talking about that. But hardly anyone is talking about how do we prepare ourselves emotionally and spiritually to lose so much of the way of life that we've known for most of our lives in most cases. So those are some of the issues that we'll be addressing, and that's the reason to come.
Mm-hmm. Building community in Vermont, learning how to talk to each other again.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Finding neighbors.
Yeah.
Being self-sufficient isn't just about building up a cache of something that you was just going to run out eventually anyway. But how do you stay on for years and years, and you're going to need help.
Well, it's about sharing, and I really saw this. I was so impressed when I was there in September, right after Irene, and how people came together and shared and helped each other. And, a lot of people say, well, you're talking about all this doom and gloom and all these negative things. Actually, you and I are both talking about very profound realities that are happening to our industrial civilization. And when we can come together and work together to prepare, there's a tremendous amount of joy in this. I talk to a lot of people. I have a coaching practice, and a lot of people call me up and they say, wow, I've lost my job and I'm going to have to reinvent myself, or maybe I should be living in a different location than I'm in right now, and they want some help with that. And what I notice without exception is that when these people talk about waking up to what's going on and preparing, they say, oh, I feel so alive. I never felt so alive before in my life. This is incredible. And so it's been really exciting to see that kind of vibrance of people who are waking up and coming together to prepare.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's exciting already. And what can you tell me about why helping professionals should be coming to your workshops?
Well, I was there, like I said, right after Irene. So helping professionals were feeling really inundated with people losing their homes and people just being completely wiped out, and a lot of people who had jobs being told, well, our situation here in Montpelier, for example, is okay, but that outlying satellite where you work over there in Rochester has been wiped out. So we're gonna have you come over here and work now. And so people had to relocate in their jobs. Their whole lives were turned upside down in some cases because of Irene. And helping professionals were really inundated with this. Now, as we look at this coming crisis of this deterioration of energy, environment, and economics, and you and I both talk about it in terms of the collapse of industrial civilization. As that worsens, helping professionals are going to be more inundated. There was a very interesting article in the December-January issue of Salon magazine that talks about depression in the new recession. The emotional and mental toll that this is taking on people. And at the same time that stress and depression and anxiety are going up, mental health services are being cut, and accessibility to any form of treatment is going down. Not just accessibility to treatment, but eventually I believe we're going to see a loss of accessibility to medication. And that people who depend on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications may find themselves without those. And just as a lot of people now who are talking about the coming chaos are saying, your healthcare, your physical healthcare, your medical healthcare may not be accessible. Hospitals, doctors. And certainly we saw this in a lot of the natural disasters that we've had this past year. And so if those things aren't accessible, then what you have to do is become more physically fit. You have to eat more healthy. You have to exercise. You have to prevent illness. And the same is true with our emotional and spiritual preparation for this chaos that's coming, that we're already starting to be in.
Okay, so the last week of April and first week of May, you'll not only be in Vermont, but you'll be around New England.
Yes, I'm actually going to start out at University of Massachusetts in the Boston area, and be there for several days, and then come up to Vermont. And then from Vermont, I'll be going over to Portland, Maine, and doing a public talk and a half-day workshop there, and then back to Boston, and then back to Colorado.
Okay, and how can folks find out more?
They can contact me at carolynbaker.net. That's Carolyn with a Y. And also, I believe you're going to be posting a web page where people can go and find out the specifics of the itinerary of the tour. And I also wanted to mention that at some point during the tour in Vermont, I'll be on a talk show with Kathleen Kravetsky, who's in the Rutland area, and on public access TV. So there will be details on the web page that you're creating for how to watch that, when and where, and so forth.
Excellent, thanks, and it's great seeing you again.
Well, it's great seeing you, and thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about coming to Vermont.
My pleasure.
All right.